Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about piecewise functions, writing equations. Our learning objective today is that if I give you a graph, you will be able to write the equation of a piecewise function. So we're going to do 3 examples today, and we're going to talk about some tools. You need to get all of that into your notes, please. Here's our first example. We're going to write the equation of the line for the piecewise function. So here we have 2 different functions. So we'll talk about this one right here that I'm highlighting in red first. So we know this is a line, so it's going to be y equals, and our line is mx plus b. So y equals, if we look at our slope, we just have a rise over run of 1, and it's a negative line, so it's going to be negative 1x plus our b, where it crosses the y-axis, is 3. So there's our first equation. Our second equation right here is the one I'm highlighting in green. So we're going to have y equals, our slope for this one, if we look here, it's going to be 2 over 1, and it's negative, so it's negative 2x, plus, we don't know where it meets the y-axis, but we could keep going. We could go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and ironically, it would end up at 3. So now we have our 2 equations. I'm going to write it in our piecewise notation. So y equals, we have our 2 equations, negative 1x plus 3 and negative 2x plus 3. Now we have to put our restrictions on what our x values are. So if we look at our first one, the one in red, it includes negative 2 and then it goes on forever in the negative direction. So x is less than or equal to negative 2. Our other one does not include, so it's just going to be x is greater than also 2. Oh, excuse me, this one was a positive 2. Sorry, guys. And positive 2. Our x value is at 2. And it's going to be any number that's greater than 2. Alright, there's our first example. Now, before we get into the rest of our examples, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to write down these useful tools when we're working with piecewise function. Writing the domain of a piecewise graph, that's going to be really important because we have to be able to put our restrictions on our graphs. Equations that are vertical are going to say x equals, the horizontal lines are going to be y equals, and they're just going to be numbers. So this could be like x equals 3, this could be y equals negative 3. Something like that, okay? It's very important that we can identify vertical and horizontal lines. Now, general information when we're translating functions. This is going to be so useful. Our linear and absolute value. Now, if you look at this, this is the way we're going to think about linear so that we don't always have to find where it crosses our y-axis, okay, like we did on that last problem. So this is going to help us out a little bit. And our absolute value, we know when we translate, when we're moving, we use this. We're going to be using these a lot, so make sure you have these both in your notes, highlight, star, whatever you need to do to make sure you can find these, okay? Now we're going to move on to our last 2 examples. Here's example number 2. If we see here, we're going to have 3 different equations. So we're going to have y equals, and we're going to have 3 equations here. I'm going to start with this one on the left, and I'm going to work my way right. So open circle here, highlighting this in red. So we know this is a line. So we are going to use the y equals mx minus h plus k here, okay? So we can find our slope first. My slope is going to be down 1 over 2. So my slope is a negative 1/2. Parenthesis x, I went to the left 1, so I'm going to put plus 1, and then I also went from the center, I went down 1, so I'm going to put minus 1. There is my equation. I don't need to multiply it out. I can leave it just as it is there. The next equation I have, I'm going to highlight in green right here. This one that's highlighted in green, it's a horizontal line, so y just equals a number. And if we look, we go up 2, so y just equals 2 here. And our last one I'm going to highlight in blue, so we're going from here all the way down. We have another line. If we look here, we need to find our slope first, so we're going down 1 over 1. So my slope is going to be a -1. Put my parenthesis x. If we look here, I'm going to the right. From my center, I'm going to the right 3. So I'll put -3, and then I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll put +4 on the end. Now that we have our 3 equations written, now we need to figure out our domains, where our x values are at. On our first one, the one in red over here, it's not equal to, but we're going from -1 all the way to -infinity. So x has to be less than -1. Not equal to, but less than. Now where we have y equals 2, our green one here, we go from 1 all the way to 3, and it includes both. So we're going to put our x in the middle, less than or equal to. The furthest one on our left is -1, and it goes all the way to 3. It includes -1 and it includes -3. That's why we have less than and equal to. Okay? Our last one in blue, we see our x value is at 3 and it's going greater than, so x is going to be greater than 3 but not equal to because we have this open circle there. Okay? So we've come up with our 3 equations and the domains of our 3 equations. Alright, moving on to our last example, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Write the equation. So if we look here, we have 3 different equations again. So I'm going to say f of x, which is the same as y, so we can put it either way, is equal to our 3 equations. Our first one here, our blue one, is an absolute value. Okay, we're looking here, absolute value. We're going to say it includes that part right there. So our absolute value, we're going to use the equation that we know, which is a absolute value of x minus h plus k, where a represents our slope, right? So if we look at our slope, it's up 1 over 2, and it's right side up, so we're going to have 2 for our slope there. Absolute value of x. We went to the left 1, 2, 3, so it's going to be plus 3. And then we went up 2, so we're going to put plus 2. There's our equation for that. Our second equation in red is a horizontal line at 1, 2, 3, 4. So all we're going to have to put here is 4. Then our final equation here in the purple, which I'm going to highlight in green, is going to be a line. So when we're working with lines, we're going to work with the y equals a parenthesis x minus h plus k. So our slope first, down 3 over 1, so -3, parenthesis x. I went to the right 3, so I'm going to put -3, and then I went up 4, so I'm going to put plus 4, and I can leave it just like that. So now I've come up with my 3 equations. Now I have to come up with my restrictions. So this one is including it, so, and it's at x equals -2, so x, when it is less than or equal to -2. Our next one, our x is going to be in the middle. They're not including, so I'm going to have just less than, not equal to. And it's going from -2 all the way to 3. So we're going to -2 to 3 for our x values. And our last one, we're including it. It starts at 3, goes on till infinity, so x has to be greater than or equal to 3 for our restriction on that one. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you today. Make sure you had all 3 examples and those tools written down. And I hope you have a fabulous day, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye!